All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is pretty safe to say that news on things like Brant's nerf, things like his dodge counters now being modified and completely altering the way that his kit plays in the air, there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of takes on the matter. There have been content creators coming in like myself, or like Ethan, or like Skull CJ, talking about how this is damaging his kit, how this is going to ruin some of his potential in the future and cause some issues later down the line. And the issue here is that a lot of people are claiming, right, that these nerfs to Brant, or potentially these bugs that are resulting in unintended nerfs, that they're just complete misinformation. And this entire narrative was fueled by this tweet. This tweet essentially breaks down a lot of the gameplay clips that people were using and chalks it all up to skill issue. It uses the explanation in Brant's kit, particularly his mid-air attacks, to talk about how if Brant doesn't reach the target, he's gonna drop down after a temporary suspension in midair. And the argument is, if Brant drops down, he's gonna end up on the floor and do a dodge counter. So it's all just skill issue. However, the fact of the matter is, this is what it actually looks like over here when that interaction actually occurs. He misses the attack, and Brant will stay in the air for several seconds, leaving you time to do things like dodge, follow up with an air attack, or kind of just hang out. And you can see over here, he's hanging out for a while. This is like over a second since the attack missed, and he's just absolutely fucking chilling. He then does a regular backflip, not considered a perfect dodge, and then follows up with more air attacks and completes the combo. So that is essentially what this entire mechanic is over here. This is what is showing up in this statement. The video or the tweet that everybody is using to bully creators like Ethan into deleting their videos, bullying creators like Skull CJ into creating videos to defend themselves, when in reality, the nerf or the bug that's causing the nerf is 100% entirely true. And the fact of the matter is, this whole interaction, right, and the interaction that we'll be showing over here is pretty disgusting. The problem here is simple. Brant's dodge counter, when used in the air, will bring him directly to the ground. And you can see in this clip what it looks like in actual practice. Ladies and gentlemen, does this look right? Does that look like gameplay that belongs in Wuthering Waves? Let me just play that in slow motion, in case you missed what was going on. Brant will attack, be in his attack chain. He'll perfect dodge over here, and then dodge counter, starting the attack 5 feet above Lorelei. 5 feet above Lorelei. And then drop down to ground level. This is what we're saying is intended. We're saying that this doesn't need a fix. We're saying an interaction like this belongs in the game. We're saying that this isn't an issue with his kit. The fact that a dodge counter will rip you out of your air combo, play one of the stupidest animations in the game, and then proceed to fuck up the rest of your Brant rotation. This is what we're saying is a skill issue. When, if we just play the whole rotation, if we just play the whole rotation that we're seeing on the screen, this is great Brant gameplay. They're playing very well. They're doing the combos correctly. And then the entire combo gets ruined because of a feature the devs added, intentionally or not, we don't know, on February 22nd. This looks stupid. This is one of the dumbest things in the game. Legitimately, one of the dumbest things you can have in the fucking game. And we're saying that this is not a bug. What the fuck even is this? And there's even more. You can just see more of these clips. He manages to cancel that dodge counter with his skill. But this is definitely the most egregious example of how bad this change is. That's fucking ridiculous. It needs to be fixed ASAP. And when you have people like this trying to mitigate the issue and say it doesn't exist, these are the individuals that are actively killing the fucking game. These are the individuals that are killing the character. Content creators like Ethan, Skull CJ, and of course, myself. We're trying to get eyes on this issue so that it gets fixed and the character can actually release at the power level that people experienced back both in the beta and during the live test of his kit. And the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, if we're going out, we're accusing creators of spreading misinformation. We're telling people, right, that they need to delete their videos, when in reality, we're calling out the issue and trying to get it fixed. That's a massive problem. And you want to know the thing, ladies and gentlemen? The thing is, this is what Brant's dodge counter looked like prior to the February 22nd patch. This is what Brant's dodge counter looked like before it got fucked up. You might have missed that. You might have missed that. He's about to do a dodge counter in the air right now. And then he just immediately follows up with an attack in the air. There's an immediate follow-up with an attack in the air. No interruption to his combo. No descent to the ground. Nothing ridiculous. And let's play it again one more time at slower speed. Dodge. Perfect dodge into another air attack. No interruptions at all. No interruptions at all. And this is what we're saying, ladies and gentlemen. It needs to be back in the game. This is what we're saying needs to be fixed, needs to be reverted, so we don't end up in a fucking situation where the gameplay literally looks like this. This would not have happened 2 weeks ago when Stepperoo, credits to him, uploaded this gameplay clip. Stepperoo's gameplay over here that looks amazing would not be possible on the current version of the patch. He would have done a dodge counter right here and his air combo would have been over. The footage would have been cut. And the thing is, when people, right, that frequent the Brant main subreddit, like Blue Man, I'm just going to look at his post history real quick. Bro has been playing the character a massive amount. Bro has been actively combating the misinformation that's been spreading on Twitter, that's been spreading on so many different platforms. And he has to make a whole separate post with multiple points of video proof to indicate what the issues are and why these posts claiming that others are spreading misinformation are the actual misinformation themselves. And it's just a troubling state where somebody who has no fucking clue what they're talking about can just make a random tweet with a random line from the game and get so much exposure that the actual discussion that needs to be had about the character's kit goes completely fucking unnoticed. And it's such a shame, right, that there are so many people focusing on the idea that, oh, it's just a bug. It's not really a nerf. Guys, if there is a bug that causes a character to perform dramatically worse than what they originally used to perform like, that's either a nerf or an unintended nerf. But the idea is that the character's strength got lowered as a result of the change. At this point, if you want to argue semantics, go ahead. But you do need to realize that arguing semantics about whether or not it's a bug or a nerf and just diving into the specifics of that is just going to distract from the issue of whatever the fuck is going on over here. This is literally so egregious and just doesn't belong in the game. This is what the discussion needs to be focused on. That. Nothing more. Nothing more than this. You cannot play the character properly without doing some absolutely wild fucking things if this is the implementation that's going to be in the game. And so with that, hopefully we've cleared up some of the issues. Hopefully we've dived into why we're making videos like this in the first place. Why we're talking about how Brant's nerf is a massive problem. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it 1,000,000,000% is. And all content creators like myself, Skull CJ, and Ethan are trying to do is fix the character.
Hey, Ethan, St. Tonta, Skull CJ. I demand an apology to the Wuthering Waves community. You all spreaded misinformation online.
And the truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, it's not us that need to apologize to the Wuthering Waves community. It's the Wuthering Waves community that needs to apologize to us. That is what needs to happen. The Wuthering Waves community should apologize to us. Because holy fuck, you guys are causing some massive, massive issues. And this is some of the biggest toxic positivity. This bending over backwards to explain massive problems in the game. Bending over backwards to spread issues or talk about or downplay issues that actually do exist. That is the real toxic positivity. And that's something that was unfortunately promoted by Tectone here. But he's been upfront in saying that he might have been wrong about the issue. And this is an example of where Tectone is 1,000,000% wrong about the issue. And it's a shame that a tweet like this, poorly researched, with absolutely no understanding at all by the poster, is getting so much airtime and so much mindshare across the community. It's complete garbage. It's complete garbage that something like this is coming out and distracting from the original discussion. And we need to do better and stop accusing CCs of like trying to doom post characters when all we are doing is simply trying to save him because he's completely, utterly fucked up at this moment in time. And so, Ethan, you said you were wrong about the Brant nerfs. You were actually correct. It is quite literally everybody else that's wrong. If you're getting called out for calling out the problems in Brant's kit, you're correct. If you're basing conclusions off of this tweet, which is poorly researched, has been disproven multiple times, and doesn't even address the issue because it's talking about his basic attack chain when the issue is his fucking dodge counter, you're wrong. And guess what, guys? When this gameplay is what people experienced in the beta and in the first couple of sections or for the first couple of moments in the patch, smooth gameplay where you can chain a dodge counter right into more of his air attacks, posted 2 weeks ago, when that was the prior state of the game, and this is the fucking current one, where you dodge counter and then will proceed to do one of the stupidest animations in gacha gaming in combat. What are we even doing here? All the receipts are there. Literally every single receipt highlighting how fucked up the situation is just out there in the open. But we're just saying it doesn't exist. We're just saying it isn't there. We're bending over backwards to explain why it's not a bug, why it doesn't need a fix, when it's completely, utterly not functional. So with that, guys, all of these claims that these creators, right, Ethan, Skull CJ, and I, that we need to wait until release, after the character has already gotten a ton of negative PR for their kit being destroyed, we need to be waiting until release for the fix? What is the issue with us calling it out right now, requesting a fix from the developers, and then getting his issues resolved prior to his first banner? Wouldn't it be better to not have issues on launch when everybody's using the character than for him to launch with an issue, everybody to make a big deal out of it, and then there's drama, and then he has to be fixed afterwards? This entire claim that we need to wait until live is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. And so that's why we addressed it now. And do keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the biggest issues with Brant being on the floor isn't just the fact that A, he does less damage or generates less forte. A massive issue with Brant being brought to the ground after his dodge counters is the fact that, well, after casting intro skill applaud for me, or for each flip following midair attacks, Brant's damage is increased by 20%, it nerfs his sequence nodes. It literally makes the whales, the people that are actually spending on this character, have less value from his kit. That's just a sequence node 1. Then you have a sequence node 2, which gives him 30% crit rate after casting his midair attack. That's another sequence node that gets completely destroyed. And then the third, his Forte circuit, that kind of gets nerfed as well, because, hey, you're not building up this Forte circuit as fast while you're on the ground. And so that's 3 sequence nodes that are affected. And guess what? His 6th one, the one that focuses on midair attacks gaining 30% increased damage, that one gets nerfed too. And so yes, you might be under the idea that him being on the ground, something like this happening, isn't a huge deal, but it kind of is. It kind of is a really fucking big deal when every single paid upgrade in the character's kit focuses on him being in the air. Every single part of his kit, especially in his paid sequence node upgrades, focuses on him being in the air. And if dodging a dodge counter brings you out of that state and onto the ground, when it didn't do that 2 weeks ago, as you can clearly see in this footage, when it didn't do that 2 weeks ago, what are we doing here? What are we defending? Why are we trying to not get this fixed when it is actually one of the worst things, intended or unintended, bug or not bug, that has happened to the fucking game? Why are we fighting so hard against trying to get this fixed? Why? And so with that, let me know what you all think. This is an absolutely ridiculous situation that has gotten so much airtime in the minds of the community for no reason. Peace out.